and welcome to Classics with Kelsey and Sarah, and today we're talking about Bleak House by Charles Dickens. Very, very thick book.
Yes.
And now this was actually one of my favorites that we read during this year so far that we've been doing the classics.
And I think it's the first one we had a major difference in opinion because I didn't even finish it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, with a name like Bleak House, you kind of think it is bleak, and it does. It does definitely have bleak aspects to it. It's not a very cheerful book all the time, though there are some funny characters and funny situations that happen, and there's a very wonderful young lady who we were just agreeing was the best part of the book. Her name is Esther Summerson.
Yes.
Very sweet, very godly, and she very humble. She always puts other people ahead of herself, and just the kind of person you really love to be.
Right. And I loved Esther and the parts that surrounding Esther. So that was not the main reason that I gave up. So before, you'll talk more about the actual plot and stuff, but there were just some aspects kind of a little bit more weird and stuff, and especially at the time, I was just like, I had some stuff going on in my life, and it was just like, it was just too hard, and so I kind of gave up on it, but I did love Esther, so she was definitely a character that if I was going to go back and reread it, I definitely would consider it because of her.
Oh, right, right. Yeah, so the book is, like all Dickens novels, very complex plot, and I think that's why I like Dickens, is he has so many intriguing characters, and the way that their plots tie in together is just fascinating. You don't really see it coming until gradually he just weaves them all together, and so that's the same with what happened with Bleak House. And so Esther Summerson, there's a part where she narrates, and it's in first person, and she's the ward of Mr. Jarndyce, and Mr. Jarndyce is also a relative of these two young people named Richard and Ada, and they are all involved in this interminable court case. And so Dickens, when you're reading this, you can kind of tell Dickens had something against the Victorian England law system. Just so complicated, and there's just no way that they could untangle this lawsuit about who are the right benefactors of this will, because there's two wills in contestation, and so they're trying to figure out which one is the right one. And so this lost case has just taken decades and has just sucked the life out of people, and so unfortunately these two young people are sucked into it. Yeah. And so, and then there's another aspect of the another part of the plot deals with Sir Leicester Dedlock and his wife Lady Dedlock, and there's a mystery there, and maybe something to do with hidden identities, and so that's also intriguing to see where it ends up. And I also, if you do read this, I highly recommend the miniseries, also called Bleak House. It's put out by BBC, and it helped me understand the plot better.
And I watched like the first little bit before I started reading, because you recommended it, because it will help, because it really did help me get into it and kind of understand exactly what was going on, because the beginning of the book is a little bit overwhelming to try to untangle it all. So yeah, I watched like the first little bit to help me untangle it, and that helped.
Yes, for sure. And yeah, and so Dickens is known for his crazy characters, and there's good characters, there's bad characters, and there's ridiculous characters. But then there's also good characters that are mostly good, but they do have flaws, or they make the wrong choices. And so Dickens is usually really good about following the moral choices that people have and showing consequences to that. And so, you know, that might be something of what makes some of his novels kind of depressing, because people don't always make the right choices, and they have to see that they have to receive the consequences for it. And
Yeah.
but there were quite a few funny moments too, because some of these characters are just so ridiculous to read about. But yeah, and they're always very. I think his characters are always very consistent.
Yeah. And while I didn't finish it, it did make me interested in reading more Dickens and try to get. This was a little bit overwhelming the first try, but I mean, we did end up going on and reading A Christmas Carol, and there are plans in the future to try and for me to try another Dickens. So because I would like to eventually make it through one, so at least I can have a little more intelligent conversation about Dickens.
Well, this is daunting for anyone, but I think if you are in the mood for trying a nice big thick book, this is a good choice, and other novels by Dickens. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and next time we're going to be discussing.
Let's see. It's October's book. What was October? Oh, another one of our favorites. Anna and the King of Siam.
Yes, that one was awesome.